Thanks a lot, Wes. This morning, several churches are making changes to protect their congregations against the coronavirus. Buckhead Church urging worshipers who have come in contact with anybody who may have traveled overseas to stay home. The Archdiocese of Atlanta announcing they will stop wine communion, only giving the bread or the body while this outbreak continues. And New Birth Missionary Baptist Church taking precautions to protect its church members from the possible virus. Nick Sturdivant live in Stonecrest, where the church says it has a plan in place. Nick, what are they doing?
Hey, good morning, Christy. I spoke with Pastor Jamal Bryant this morning. He told me they held a town hall Tuesday, basically to educate members about the coronavirus because, Christy, frankly, there's so much information out there about the coronavirus. Their first service right now, which started at 9:30, is now underway. And one of the first things people will notice when they get in are the hand sanitizer stations. And they are encouraging everyone to use it because this is such a huge congregation. The church is also asking people, if you feel somewhat sick, just stay home. And Pastor Bryant also told me that they usually do a greet your neighbor part of the service where people hug and shake hands. Now they are simply having people to wave at each other in service. And here's also what he had to say.
There's so much of a fury taking place of people dealing with anxiety, worry, and stress, and this is the place of faith. That we understand that people die because of a lack of knowledge. And so the washing of hands is so critical as reported by the CDC. And if you're going to be around 5,000 people in a contained space, we've got to make sure that we take care of optimum concerns.
Right when we get up the stairs. So let's go right now.
And Christy, because there's only one service and because so many people watch New Birth online right now, they're not even considering having church without members here.
All right, online services is a good idea at this point. Thanks a lot, Nick.